What's up, guys? It's your boy Just Minus here with another video deck profile. But before I start, I do want to say Happy New Year's to everybody. It's been a wild one, but what's gonna be more wild is gonna be this Darklord profile right here. So stick around. All right, so we're gonna start with the basics. We're gonna run 3 copies of Darklord Eggshell. Pretty much her effect is you discard her and one other Darklord monster, and you draw 2 cards. Also, when she's on the field, once per turn, the end of your player's turn, you can pay 1,000 life points to activate a Darklord card that's in the graveyard as her effect. So once it resolves, that Darklord card will shuffle back into the deck, and that applies to all Darklord boss monsters, for the exception of Darklord Serato and Darklord Morningstar. So really good card. She's one of your draw engines. Run it at 3. I think it should be ran at 3 in all type of Darklord deck profiles. But yeah, 3 copies of Darklord Eggshell. Then we run 3 of the new Darklord, Indulged Darklord. She's a must 3 for any Darklord profile. It's a -2/+2. So what I mean by that is you get to, one of her effects is when she's summoned or special summoned, you get to special summon a Darklord monster to your opponent's field. So that's, removing 1 card from the deck, which is thinning it out. And the other effect is then you add another Darklord monster to the hand. So usually I try to go for Darklord Eggshell so I can, keep drawing more cards. And yeah, you can only do it once per turn, hard once per turn, obviously. And you cannot pick her up as one of the targets. 3 of course. And then we run 2 copies. Darklord Nostin. His effect in hand is you can discard 2 other Darklord cards and special summon to the field. And just like Eggshell, you can pay 1,000 life points to activate an effect from a Darklord card in the graveyard and then shuffle it back in. Alright, so usually if you have this first turn, you want to try to go for this guy as fast as possible. The next cards are Darklord Ukobak. When he's summoned, if it's normal or summoned, he dumps a Darklord card to the graveyard. Usually when you do dump Darklord cards, I like to go for either the spell card that searches. I think it's Darklord of Banishment. Banishment of Darklords, I believe. Or one of the trap cards to disrupt the opponent during their turn. But 2 of only. I might dump it down to 1 depending on my playtesting, but so far it's been working good at 2. And this deck relies mostly on the disruption, so I do run a lot of the trap cards. And then we have, for the 1-ofs, we have 1 copy of Darklord Superbia. So Darklord Superbia is when this card is special summoned, you get to special summon another Darklord monster from the graveyard. Keep in mind though, it is a win this card, so if you activate one of the other Darklord monsters effect that shuffles the card back into the deck, for example, Darklord, the one that revives Darklord monsters, it'll revive this card, but due to when it's shuffling back, it misses timing, so it won't work on that. So this card has to be used either with Monster Reborn or activating the actual spell card from hand in order for his effect to go through. So 1 copy of, a lot of people run 2, some are 3, and it depends on the build. I don't run trade in here, so I only run it at 1, and he's good at 1 for me. And then I run 1 copy of Darklord Tezcatlipoca. I hope that's right. Essentially, when a Darklord monster or monsters would be destroyed by battle card effect, just discard this card. So it protects him from any destruction or battle. Again, I used to run it at 2, but I think 1 works best. And just like every other Darklord boss monster, pay 1,000, you can activate an effect from the graveyard, whichever Darklord spell or trap card you choose, and then shuffle it back in. The next one is Darklord Mdusk. You discard a Darklord card and itself, and then you can add 1 target Darklord card in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. So just 1 of. Again, he doesn't come up too much, but when he does, he's coming clutch. Next one would be Darklord Zerato. So I don't actually summon him too much. I think I just wanted him just because he looks cool, to be honest with you. I might drop it, who knows. But Darklord Zerato is one of the original Darklord monsters when this archetype first came out. Essentially, his effect is if there's 4 or more dark monsters with different names in your graveyard, you can tribute summon this monster just by tributing 1 monster. And then his effect on field is send the dark monster to the graveyard and destroy all monsters your opponent controls. But if you do activate that effect, you have to destroy this card during the end phase. So it's okay, you know, it's not super crazy. He doesn't have the effect of paying 1,000 life points and, you know, activating an effect from grave based off the Darklord spell or trap. But still good boss monster. Next one is Capricious Darklord. She's a one-off. Usually I go into Indulge Darklord, special summon her into the opponent's field. The reason being is because the thing is with this card, when it leaves the field, all your opponent's monsters lose 500 attack. So, you know, I can activate a trap card, Popper, like Darklord, one of Darklord trap cards, take control over it, Popper, and your opponent loses 500 attack points. Only one of. The only other interesting effect that I saw from this one is if I do control this card during my main phase, quick effect, I can activate it and tribute summon 1 fairy monster face up. So if I have Morningstar and I have enough targets for Morningstar in the field, I can essentially activate this effect and tribute summon into Darklord Morningstar, and then all hell breaks loose from there. Other than that, yeah, it's pretty much it. But it's just a target for Indulged, to be honest. Lastly, the last Darklord card is Darklord Morningstar. Big boss monster, really hard to summon. It really is just here for the new fusion summon monster to use it as material. Because if this is one of the materials for that fusion monster, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. The fusion monster. Really just the only reason why I have this here. Other than that, I mean, I've never used its own effects or anything because I've never summoned them like it should be. So, not even gonna go into that. And lastly, well, not lastly, the second to last monsters. Condemned Witch. She's really good. Essentially, when this card is normal summoned, I can add 1 forbidden card to my hand. Quick play spell card to my hand. And during the opponent's main phase, I can tribute her and special summon a level 4 fairy monster. Usually I go into Indulge Darklord, and I'll plus even more during the opponent's turn. And even a couple of disrupt plays. I do not have Forbidden Droplets because the card is $100, I believe. So I'm running a different Forbidden quick spell. But she's good in this deck. I've been thinking of running her at 3, but 2 so far has been working for me. And lastly, the last monster for this deck is none other than Archlord Christia, or Arklord Christia, however you pronounce that. This is a no Yu-Gi-Oh card. Everybody knows what this does. Once it's in the field, no monsters can be special summoned in either player's field. So, no Yu-Gi-Oh. His other effect is if he's special summoned, you can target a fairy monster in your graveyard and just add it to your hand. And then when this guy is sent from the field to the graveyard, return it to the top deck. So that's a mandatory effect, so if it's sent to the graveyard, you have to put it back on top of the deck. But yeah, it only requires 4 fairy type monsters in your graveyard, exactly 4, and you can special summon it from hand. So since this is a Darklord deck, there's a lot of manipulation with the graveyard. You discard, you shuffle back things in, you special summon monsters. So you have a lot of control in your graveyard. Than most other decks, I would say. But one of the Archlord Christia. Now we're gonna move on to our spell cards. We're gonna run 3 Banishment of the Darklords. This is a card I was talking about. I messed up earlier. So this guy searches for any Darklord card. Hard once per turn. Really good. Run 3. I don't think I've ever seen a deck profile without 3 copies. Usually you dump this, and then obviously if you have a Darklord monster that can activate an effect, from a Darklord spell or trap card in the graveyard, you activate this again. So really good card. Searches any Darklord card in the deck. Then we have the Darklord Contact, 3 copies of. This is another card I was talking about. Darklord Contact, you play it, go into Superbia, then Superbia, once it's summoned, special summon another Darklord monster. So yeah, special summon Darklord, and that's it. 3 of. Free Monster Reborn. Then I have Allure of Darkness. poor man's version of Pot of Extravagance. If you do have copies of Pot of Extravagance, run that instead. But this will do. Don't run Pot. What is it? Pot of Desires, I believe. The one that banishes 10 cards on the top of the deck face down. Don't play that. That's really bad. You know, not only are you wasting your resources, but what if, you know, your importing cards go there? You know, that's pretty much shit. You know, especially the trap cards to spell. You don't want the trap cards to go into face down banished, because that's what you need. This is the deck that I build is based off of the trap cards. You know, you have to have as many as you can in your graveyard to disrupt the player, your opponent. So 3 Aurora Darkness is the best option out there in terms of drawing engines. Or like I said, if you have a Pot of Extravagance, use that instead, since you don't go too much into your extra deck. At least not in my build. So yeah, draw 2, banish the Darklord card. Alright, so 3 off. Then we have 2 Foolish Burials. Again, if somehow I didn't manage to send a trap card, a Darklord trap card, and I have this in hand, you play this, send whichever Darklord trap card you think is going to be best, you know, during that moment. Card once per turn, sends 1 trap or spell card to the graveyard. Then I have my 2 Forbidden Calices. Again, if you have the money, you run Forbidden Droplet. It's just the best card out there right now. But with her, it's still good. You know, target a face-up monster in the field until end of the turn. The target gains 400 attack, but its effects are negated. So it could stop potentially bigger plays. So run 2 in this build, since I can easily search for it with Condemned Witch. All right. And now last copies, 1 of each. Monster Reborn, special summon from either graveyard, self-explanatory, and Reasoning. Your opponent declares a card number, level, I mean, and pretty much if you excavate cards until you run into a monster that could be summoned. And if it's a level declared, it's sent to the graveyard, and all excavated cards are also sent to the graveyard. But if they miss the level, you special summon that monster, and the rest go into the graveyard. Obviously, there's a reason why you run this card. If you excavate a lot of Darklord cards, then awesome. And if they miss a level, great. You get to special summon a Darklord monster. Hopefully, one that could activate the effect of activating the spells and traps in the graveyard. So, really good card. I wish it was more than 1. I'd be running it at 3 if it was possible, but it's at 1. So, there's that. Now we're gonna move on to our trap cards. A lot of people run the 1 card per, one trap card per deck, per trap. So they run 1 copy of Darklord Rebellion, 1 copy of the other Darklord cards. But I run 2 of Dark Rebellion. This one pretty much destroys a card on the face-up card on the field. And the great thing about it is it doesn't target, so it can literally get over anything. Really, really good card. I run 2 of them. And then, oh, by the way, all Darklord cards, you have to send a Darklord monster to activate them. But again, that's only if you're activating it in your field. If you have the a Darklord monster like Excel or Nazin or somebody else, you don't have to send the Darklord monster. You just pay the 1,000 life points and you apply its effect. The next card is Sanctified Darklord. This one, pretty much same thing, send a Darklord. But you can choose a face-up monster, a 1-effect monster on the field, negate its effects, and if you do, you gain life point equal to its attack. So again, it does not target, so you don't need to worry about those cards that protect themselves with by not being targeted by. But this one does not target, same as the other one. So 2 off. 1 Darklord Enchantment. I might bump it up to 2. I just need to figure out what other card I don't really need in this deck, but this one's pretty much the same as the other 2 trap cards. Does not target, but this one takes control of 1 other face-up monster your opponent controls. So you can take 1 monster from the opponent. So good card. And lastly, the new card, Darklord Uprising. So essentially with this guy, you fusion summon 1 Dark Fusion monster from your extra deck. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, I just realized that. It doesn't have to be the Darklord Fusion monster. It can be any other Dark Fusion monster from the extra deck. And then, once you do that, you gain life points equal to the original attack of the monster sent to the graveyard to activate this effect. So, if you activate it from the field, you can gain life points. But if it's on the graveyard, you just apply the effect and that's it. But yeah, one copy of Darklord Uprising only. So that's it for the main deck. We're now going to move on to the extra deck, which again, I don't go into a lot, so it's going to be fairly quick once I go through it. But we got 2 copies of Condemned Darklord. It requires only 2 fairy monsters, and then her effect is essentially you can tribute summon fairy monsters that require 2 tributes by banishing 2 monsters from your graveyard instead of tributing. So if you still have your summon, you can pretty much just banish like the cards as banished 2, and summon a Darklord monster from the hand instead of tributing 2 monsters on the field. The other effect is you can discard a card and take any one Darklord monster from your deck and add it to your hand. And lastly, the most important effect, I think is more important to me because in this deck, the Darklord monsters, the boss monsters, you spend 1,000 life points each time you apply their effects. With her, during the end phase, I believe it's only in my end phase if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, only in my end phase. I gain 500 life points for each fairy type monster that's on the field. So if I have like 3 Darklord monsters, I gain 1,500. So really good card. It's just really for I put this in here just pretty much to gain life points, so I can recover the life points that I spent to activate the effects. Then we have 2 Beat Cop from the Underworld. It requires only 2. If you use 2 monsters with different names, tribute this card and put a token on one of your Darklord cards. So usually I like to put it on Eggshell because she's the one with the, I guess, she's the most important card here. She has very big defense, 2,900, so it's kind of hard to get over unless, you're fighting some deck that have, big 3k beat sticks all over the place, like a Blue Eyes deck. But essentially you put that token, and whenever that card is destroyed, by battle or card effect, just remove the token instead. So I run 2 of, easy to link summon into. 1 Akashic Magician, again, 2 monsters with the same type. This is the same type, so they're all dark monsters. And they're also all fairies. Sorry, type, not actually type. So since they're all dark monsters, it's easy to summon. Really, I think I only have this just in case I run into some link monster that I can't get over. This one will bounce it back. Of course, it has to be facing it. Whenever you summon, it bounces the monsters that it's facing to, so your opponent and yours. Then I run 1 copy of Herald of Mirage Light. Really good card too. When a spell or trap card effect is activated, you can send a fairy monster from your hand to the graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that spell or trap card. So really good, but just 1 copy of. Then Boral Sword Dragon. Pretty self-explanatory, big monster. I do summon a lot in this deck. I mean, you can literally flood the field with Darklord monsters. So good to have for OTKs. Next for the Xyz, I have number 27, Dreadnoid. It's just 1 level 4x, 1 rank 4xc, since there's not many level 4 monsters in this deck. It's a solid card, I guess. Then I have the number 38, negate spells. Again, I don't summon these a lot, so they're just there to be there. So if you're running Pot of Extravagance, like I was saying, it doesn't really affect this, at least this build, a lot. So Galaxy Eye Cipher Dragon, the Galaxy package actually. Here's the other Galaxy card, Galaxy Eyes Full Photon Dragon, and lastly Galaxy Eye Cipher Blade Dragon. Again, I don't think I've ever summoned them, but they're there in case I need them. Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max. Again, I haven't summoned them, but if I do, once per turn, detach a material and inflict 2,000 damage to your opponent's life points. And lastly, the first Darklord. I wish this would have been ultra rare at least. It's a really good card in this deck. What this guy does is pretty much when your opponent cannot target fairy monsters you control with card effects. So your fairy monsters would be immune to targeting. Then if this card is fusion summoned using Darklord Morningstar as material, like I said earlier, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. So GG to their whole field. Now if you do opt out to not use that effect, you can use the other one, which is during the main phase quick effect. You can pay 1,000 life points, special summon 1 very type monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. So yeah, really good card. It's just for, you know, if you're gonna go for the kill. But yeah, that was it. This build was literally just more of disrupting plays. That's why I run more than one of the trap cards. That way, when it's the opponent's turn, I'm literally just disrupting them to the point where, you know, they have an empty field and I just swing for the game. If you do like this profile, give it a like. Please subscribe. I'll be putting out more video deck profiles hopefully soon in the near future. But anyways, again, Happy New Year's, guys. It's been a wild one, but it's gonna get probably more wild in 2021. So, hold on to your seats, all right? Again, Happy New Year, and see you to the next one. Just minus out. Oh, and before I forget, I forgot to mention I do have videos of how the deck is being used. So stick around. Again, Happy New Year.